Okay, thank you, everyone. Welcome to this workshop of this audit and risk workshop on the 2024-25 annual report. This is a pretty important stage in our formal financial and actually wider business process, where we report on how the previous financial year went, and we're going to get an early heads up about where we're at and what's coming forward towards the audit and risk and long-term plan committees coming forward. So I'll hand you over to you, Baz and co, and take it away.
Morena councillors, and thank you for having us here today. Look, just before we kick off, just want to say that obviously we're still going through the audit process. That hasn't been completed yet. It's going very, very well. But as a consequence, what you see in front of you and what we've circulated is draft. And so as it's unaudited, it is still subject to change. So I just thought it's worth mentioning that. Look, the purpose of today is to give you a bit of an early heads up in terms of what the KPI results are looking like and what the story is looking like. Normally what happens is that you won't actually receive a copy of the document until a little bit later in the piece, and so what tends to happen traditionally is you receive the document when it's quite a lot more polished, if you like, later on in the piece. And so every year we do a review, we look to make improvements, we get a lot of feedback from the ARA awards, and we look at other things that we can do to improve. And one of those things that we looked at is to give you an opportunity to look at something that is a little bit more draft, a little bit earlier on, so you can provide some feedback. So as we go through the process of finalising it, we've got your feedback on board. We kind of took that approach in a year where that's kind of quite difficult, because we've got one less month, or we're trying to do the annual report in a shorter period of time. We've got an election this time round. That sits in early October, and normally we obviously don't finalise the annual report till later in October. And what we want to do this time round is actually sign it out by the end of September, because we think it's important that the elected members sign off on the year that they were here for. So that's what we're trying to do. But as a consequence, trying to give you an early insight while trying to do everything a little bit earlier does mean we're all running, and audit is running as well. They've signed up to trying to do it a little bit earlier as well. The other thing I'll just quickly point out is that we've given you a lot of reading, and some of you had difficulty accessing the document. So volume 1, which is what we're talking about today, is quite hefty. I haven't counted the page numbers, but it's well over 100. And then, of course, you've got all the KPI results, which is in a separate document as well. So if you obviously had nothing to do over the weekend and read it and have lots of feedback, we'd love to hear it today. If you need more time, obviously, we're happy to take feedback right through to Friday. We would like to receive anything that you have by email. That'll be fine. That can either come to Joss or me or Lloyd. And if you do have anything, we'd be in a position, because we've got an ARC meeting early next week, to update them in terms of where we're at. So providing a bit of feedback in terms of what transpired at the workshop, and any feedback that we've generated would be good. So we do have a theme for the annual report. We do one every year. And this one is Tapuwai Tahi, One Footprint. It's about the reality that we are in a challenging environment. So when you think about the issues we have with our infrastructure, if you think about the affordability issues, if you think about the reform that is reshaping local government, there are challenges aplenty, if you like. And the way you deal with challenges is not to be overwhelmed by them, not to give up, but to basically take one step at a time and keep going forward. So that's in essence the theme that underpins the annual report, if you like. I'm about to hand over very shortly to Jocelyn, who will take you through numbers. But big picture, if I look back over the year, it has been a good year. It's been a challenging year, but it's been a good year. So, we've continued with cities transformation. Cities are never finished. They're always changing. And you can start to see some of that come to fruition if you think about Te Matapi and so on and so forth. So a lot of our investment has been made in recent years, and a lot of that's underway and will be coming to its conclusion in the very near future. A lot of investment has gone into tackling our ageing infrastructure. A lot of that's in pipes as well as earthquake strengthening. We have had economic challenges and cost of living challenges, and those are real, and you'll see those throughout the document as well. But despite all of those challenges, we have continued to deliver for the people of Wellington. It has been a very good year. We've got lots of things done, and if you reflect back on the residents monitoring survey, while there were areas that were reasonably challenging, what we do see is that the community does rate their quality of life, and they do really love a lot of the services that we provide. If you think about the sports fields, the libraries, all those kind of core services that we do deliver as a council, they achieve high levels of satisfaction by our community, which is of course very, very satisfying. I'll leave it there as an introduction and hand over to Jocelyn, who will take us through a summary of the KPIs, just noting that every single KPI is in this green spreadsheet that we have sent to you, and I'll leave it there and hand over to Jocelyn.
Kia ora koutou. As Baz said, all of the results for the KPIs, so the results, the commentary and the comparability to previous year's performance is in that separate document that's kind of green. So I'm just going to give you kind of like a summary of what's in that document. Overall, we have achieved 68% of our performance measures. That's 80 out of 118. And if we're looking at it at a high level, this is 68% versus 60% for last year. So we've done well. But also what we've done is we set ourselves a challenge in the 24 LTP around how we look at our performance. And what we've done is we've narrowed the performance threshold from what was 10% to 5%, so it's made it a bit more difficult. And we've actually introduced result categories. So that 68% includes KPIs that have met or exceeded their target, those that have what we consider to be substantially met, which is just about 2.5% below their target, and those that we consider to be off target, those that are drifting in the wrong direction. I'll talk about those a bit more in a minute. So overall, 68%, and we've got one KPI still to report, and that's our greenhouse gas KPI. We're hoping that that will be a positive and the 68 will increase. So if we're thinking about 80 of our 118 KPIs as having reached or met their target, when we dig further, we discover that of those 80, 67 or 57% of them met or exceeded their target. So we've done really well. We've got a large proportion of our KPIs that have reached or exceeded their target this year. This level of analysis we haven't had before. So this is new for the 24 LTP. And as I explained, how we've done this, we now have a better understanding of our performance with the result categories. And as an example of that, we know that there's 31 KPIs that did not meet their target, and we know that we need to improve performance in that space. But we also know that there are 6 KPIs that are drifting in the wrong direction, so they're considered to be off track, and they're drifting to the not met side of the spectrum. And so now we understand this, we can actually put some effort into managing our performance in these spaces. Oh, yes. Thank you. I think I've got a person who's going to click on my behalf. Thank you, Baz. Right. So for what we've got now is we've got some information across our 7 strategic activity areas, and we start off with governance. In this area, they have a total of 7 KPIs, and they kind of had about 50% met, 50% not met. And the ones that did meet their target related to meeting our statutory timeframes for making information available to the public, and also our cost centre responsiveness. The KPIs that did not meet their target related to adequate opportunities to participate in city decision making and information accessibility. Those three KPIs relate to the residents monitoring survey. And what you'll hear as I go through this set of information right through the straight activity areas is you will hear on the one hand our residents saying that they're not happy, but on the other hand you're hearing that our residents are happy. So there is a lot of mixed information in both in our residents monitoring survey results and also in our KPI results. So I'm not going bonkers when I kind of give you this kind of weird thing. Okay, so in our governance space, I'm sure you are aware that it's been a very demanding year. We've had, there's been an increased number of committee meetings and workload, and that's with the LTP amendment, and in particular with the local water done well reform. And really the main challenge for the governance area is how we can improve our community engagement to build trust and confidence in council decision making. That's something that we need to put quite a bit of effort into, and the relationship that we have with our residents. We've also seen an increase in negative behaviour towards our council staff, especially in the social media space. There's challenges for the governance area. Next slide. Environment and infrastructure is our biggest area. There are 33 KPIs in this space, and Wellington Water is here. This space has done well. They have 21 of their KPIs met their target, and Wellington Water has improved its performance. They achieved 65% of their KPIs this year versus 56% last year. There are still problems with them getting to the job, but when they get to the job, they are fixing and repairing within the timeframes. So it's a responsiveness issue, not an actual repairing issue. Both of our conservation CCOs sit in this space, that's Zoo and Zealandia. They've both done well this year, and Zealandia is doing exceptionally well. This is its 10th year of surplus. That's a major achievement. Our southern landfill extension is underway. The Begonia House was paused due to the LTP amendment. Local water done well, as I said, council has agreed to a regional delivery model, and our Taranaki wastewater rising main pump station was commissioned 5 months ahead of schedule. I'm not sure we should be excited about a rising main, but 5 months ahead of schedule is quite a significant achievement. And that's part of the delivery that Baz was talking about earlier on. Right, we'll pop over to economic development. There are 12 KPIs in this space, and Reader and the regional stadium sit in this activity area. They've done very well. 11 of their 12 KPIs met target. This is quite an achievement when we think about the economic challenges that the city has been facing. Takina hosted a range of successful exhibitions and is the first convention and exhibition centre in New Zealand to have been awarded the five Green Star design certification, which is quite an achievement for our city. The World of Wearable Arts brought 31.75 million to the Wellington region and sold 63,000 tickets. Again, a great sign that Wellington is alive. We'll pop over to the cultural wellbeing. Oh, sorry, my PowerPoint has gone a bit weird there. Sorry about that one. So in this space there are 11 KPIs and they met 10 of them. And in this one, the residents felt positive about the city's cultural events and they felt included in the range and type of events on offer. They felt that their cultural interests were represented by the range of activities that the city has on offer. Te Matapihi delivered on budget and on time. That's just out of the financial year, but the message remains. Hannah Playhouse has done very well. They've had significant public and artist engagement, and Toi Poniki has exceeded its targets with more than 40,000 visitors. Toi Poniki has been, the contract to relocate it has been signed for its new home in Cable Street. Pop over to social and recreation. This is another big area in our space, and there are 18 KPIs here. This is done less well. There's 10 of their KPIs met their target. And this is where we have this contradiction in our message. So there's been a significant reduction in satisfaction with our pools and playgrounds and skate parks. However, sports fields, akutangi and library services remain high. So this is this contrary messages that we're getting through our data, that there is a lot of positive satisfaction in some areas and less satisfaction in others. The increases in homelessness with the city has been obvious. There's been a noticeable shift with people living in vehicles and makeshift structures on our reserve land. We've responded with a city safety plan, and we're working with the City Mission and Downtown City Mission in this space. We've had more than 84,000 hours of voluntary services from approximately 120 volunteer groups, which again is a good indication that people are voluntary, they're investing in our city. The Basin Reserve has had a mixed year. They did not meet their SOI, but they completed their 10-year master plan project. They had a couple of events that were cancelled because of weather, and that resulted in them not meeting their not meeting their SOI KPIs. Pop over to urban development. Urban development met 8 of their 11 KPIs, but one is of very much of a concern, and that relates to building consents requiring structural engineering advice, which achieved just 12% of its target. We recognise that is a very poor result. It's related to the complexities of engaging external engineering advice. We're having a lot of complex applications, and also getting the access to that specialist knowledge and liability settings, especially that has come out of the Lofa Lodge fire. There's 2 KPIs in this space. The building consents with requiring the external advice, 12%. The one that doesn't require external advice is over 90%. So we're able to analyse where the issues are here. We successfully achieved our 24 district plan. The Te Kainga program is doing very well. It's got an occupancy of 96% and a satisfaction of 91%. And Tanako Civic Precinct is making great progress with the expected opening in 2026, and all the components that make up Tanako Civic Precinct. Pop over to transport. Transport, a bit like governance, had a mixed result this year. They have 26 KPIs in their space, and they achieved 11 of them. The KPIs that relate to road smoothness, footpath quality, the amount of sealed local roads and satisfaction with city transport infrastructure did not meet their targets. The transport program suffered a reduction in funding from the National Land Transport Plan that required projects and programs to be delayed until that impact was understood, and it's led to a CapEx underspend. That will be rolled over. Lambton Quay and its side streets were closed for 5 days to carry out critical maintenance in one go. I think it's the first time that this has been done. And in those 5 days, all of the 2025 maintenance work for that area was completed. So that was, again, a significant achievement. Thorndon Quay was completed on time and on budget. However, the project was subject to substantial negative press. Again, we're getting kind of the sounding of mixed messages. That's all from me. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So, Chair, just quickly, so we can take questions now. There'll be obviously some that we won't be able to answer because we don't have all of ELT and all Tier 3 managers in the room. So where we can't, we'll just take notes and we'll come back to you by email. But we're happy to take feedback and questions at this time.
Yep.
Okay, Ray, you.
Yep, thanks. My questions are relating to the transport. When you have the 11 of the KPIs met the target, however, road smoothness, footpath quality, amount of sealed roads. Now, what's the reason for that? Is that because our maintenance program is actually behind, or are we finding that roads are being damaged a lot faster than we actually expected?
Oh, right, yeah.
So what's causing this?
Okay, so there's a mixture there. With regards to the road smoothness, I'm not a road technician, but what I understand it is that in the 21 LTP a decision was made to alter the variability between concrete, asphalt and
Chip seal.
Yeah, I was going to say the rough bits, chip seal. So as a consequence of that decision, the road smoothness decreases. So our KPI that relates to road smoothness then obviously it reduces. Does that make sense? Similarly to our footpath quality, the amount of sealed local roads that we did not get the volume of the sealed roads completed in time. Was that enough information?
Just one question on that. I was thinking about where roads are damaged, particularly on corners because of the heavy buses.
Yes.
That seems to be happening, and while we get repairs done, the reoccurrences happen very, very quickly.
So I understand the EV buses and cars, the greater volume of EV vehicles overall is having an impact on our roads.
So what is our plan for that? But I relate to one particularly in my street that was repaired, came up repaired, there was water coming up underneath, repaired, and then 3 days later,
Okay,
a hole started appearing again.
I can't answer that
No,
one.
of course not.
No, that's fine.
But I'm just saying that.
Yeah. Would you like me to get you some more information on the space?
Yep, that'll be great, thanks. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could clarify for me, where we do use the RMS as a form of reporting against the KPIs, do we weight that according to population in the city council area?
Yeah, the RMS is representative, yeah. So the samples are representative in age and location, yeah.
Yeah, it's possible I might have missed it in the explanation of the annual report, but it might be good to have an explainer that it is a representative sort of figure as opposed to just kind of a survey. I mean, the context might be there for people who have engaged with the RMS before, but perhaps not if they're just engaging with the...
No, that's fine, we can add that in, yep.
And one more?
Yeah, sure.
The other one was on slide 5. You mentioned 68% of our performance measures were achieved, but 57% of measures were achieved. So could you just briefly explain what the difference is between those performance measures and measures?
Right, okay. So we have performance measures. Those are generally the term that we're looking at across the board for how we're measuring our performance for the organisation. And KPIs is just another name for them, so key performance indicators, so they can be one or the other, interchangeable. We've got a total suite of 118 KPIs, and of those, 80 of them fell into the 3 categories that we consider to be met, and that is they've met their target or exceeded it. They were between 0 and 2.5, which is considered to be substantially met, or they were between 2.5 and 5%, which we consider to be off track. So we have a 5% performance threshold for the organisation, which we set for the 24 LTP. So of those 3 result categories, that's the 68%, and those are the 80 out of the 118. Now, if we look further into those 80, we discover that 67 of those actually met or exceeded their target.
Right,
Yep.
cool. Fantastic, thank you.
Okay. I was wondering if anyone online has got any questions, Ben or Nicola? No. So I've got just a couple of questions. First of all, in terms of comparing it with last year's report, are we gone down a bit, about the same, or improved, just overall?
Right. It's actually quite difficult to do a true comparison because last year's report related to the 21 LTP and our performance threshold was 10%. So if a KPI's result was anywhere between 0 and 10% of its target, it was considered to be met. But through the annual report for last year and feedback from Audit New Zealand, we had 2 categories last year. We had met those that were
Yep.
at their target or above, and then those that were considered to be substantially met between 0 and 10%. So if we think about that group, there was 60% of we met last year. We had a completely different suite of KPIs because it was a different
Sure.
LTP, but of that we met 60. So we can say that this year, given all of our different result categories, we've achieved 68%.
Okay,
so I think it's
perhaps slightly better.
we've done better.
Just very roughly.
We've done better. Yeah.
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 Thank you for thanks for explaining. And I guess the other thing too, and this is really as much for people online who want to watch this, in terms of getting into the detail, because you've done a very broad overview. The annual report will support providing details on each KPI as well. If someone, for example, you talked about the compliance problems with getting at structural engineering. If you want to really look at that, there is going to be separate sections on each of them so that people can drill in and see what we've done really well and what we've maybe struggling to do.
So what you've received for this workshop is the draft annual report and the draft statement of service provision. Typically they would be together, but we're still in the process of developing the
draft.
report.
Yeah,
It's
that's
draft. So that draft statement of service provision has the results for every one of our KPIs. It provides a commentary to the result, and it also provides comparative information to previous year's performance if that KPI does have that. So, yep.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from any members? Yes.
Sorry? Yeah.
Deputy Mayor.
Chair, 3 from me, if that's okay. Just the greenhouse gas inventory or report, will that be in time for the annual plan?
Yes. So the greenhouse gas inventory.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
So, the greenhouse gas inventory actually is subject to a separate audit process, and that is going in parallel to the annual report process. It's proceeding very well, and we have expectations that we will have a result on that KPI mid-September, but definitely prior to 30 September adoption.
Yeah, great. Wellington Zoo, just the report saying they met all of their KPIs, was that including their financial KPI? Because we've been aware of the challenges for Wellington Zoo.
Let me have a look at my document. Sorry, Wellington Water has a lot of KPIs. Zoo. So they met 4 of their 6 KPIs on the SOI. So they did not meet their number of visitors. They met student and education visits, percentage of satisfaction, satisfied visitors. Their council operating grant per visitor was not met, but their trading revenue and their non-council donations and funding were both met.
Great, good news. Okay, and last one, just in regard to the consents not meeting because of external engineering advice, is it legal that we must have those skills, require those skill sets from outside of the council?
I can't answer that explicitly, but I think that the range of engineering skills required because of the complexity of the type of applications that we're receiving kind of precludes us having that level of advice in-house.
In-house, okay. As I guess, just backup question, is there an opportunity to improve that in the future?
We're doing as best we can in that space. We've provided online information to help the consent process at the very beginning, which may kind of
Speed it up.
Speed it up, yeah.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. So moving on.
Oh.
Does that cover everything you wanted to cover in the workshop?
Yeah, and absolutely it does. And the really, just going back to the beginning, we just wanted to give you early heads up in terms of what it was looking like and shaping up so you guys could provide feedback. If you have questions or feedback, we would love to have it before Friday or on Friday. Just noting also we do have an ARC meeting next week as well. Obviously, this will be attached to that at that point in time. So, it's just the start of the process, if you like. Yeah.
Okay.
I just would like to say one thing, and that is the structure of the report can't be changed. So please don't tell us to move pages. So you please just look at the content of the report. Thank you very much.
Okay. So thank you. So I'd just like to thank all the officers. It's always it's amazing to me how much effort goes into try and close off the annual report. It's not as big as the long-term plan, but it's certainly a substantive piece of work. And I do thank officers for all their comprehensive work and for the efforts of improving the transparency and the engagement around this important document. So thanks very much, and look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.